Welcome to the Michael Singer podcast, presented by Sounds True, in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information about Michael Singer's work, access to all prior episodes, and information about upcoming releases, we invite you to join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com.
Jagradav Jamasters. People sometimes ask, how do you live a spiritual life? Fortunately or unfortunately, the answer and the depth of truth is very, very different from what people think and what people live. It is both simple and extremely difficult to live a spiritual life. Why? What's that about? In the end, it is all about ego. But we all mean different things by ego. I mean ego. But any ego. But any ego. If you are dealing with ego, you're not dealing with God. Period. Ego is the antithesis of God. What you all call evil is ego at the extreme. It's ego that says, I don't care who I hurt. I don't care what's going on. This is what I want. In fact, I like to hurt people. Well, that's the devil. There are people like that. I don't want you to meet them, okay? They're just ego. They're God descended, expressing itself through ego. And that's the truth. You know that. They say that Lucifer is a fallen angel. What do you mean a fallen angel? Where did it fall? Into the ego. Ego, uncontrolled, unmonitored, undealt with, is quite a force. It's an unbelievable force. And it can cause tremendous destruction. In fact, it will cause tremendous destruction. Not it can, it will. The question is, what degree? Families fall apart, children get screwed up, people commit suicide. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on, all because of ego. It's all ego, it's all ego. None of it is not ego, it's all ego. All right, you want to talk about it? Okay. I mean, that is the truth. Not ego is God. All right? What does that mean? What is ego? Where does it come from? Why does it cause so much trouble? Or what? What's going on? Okay? You are God, not your ego. Don't you dare think of it that way. But you, the consciousness, you who's in there, you who's aware that you're in there, you that knows that you know that you're there, is God. Consciousness is God. Period. That's what God is. Consciousness. Awareness of being. Aware of what? No, just awareness of being. If you start saying aware of what, you've immediately created an object that is other than pure God. Pure consciousness. Just, I am that I am. How do you know? I know that I know. There's no answer. Do you know you're in there? How do you know you're in there? Don't even think about it. Don't pollute it with thoughts. You know you're in there. How long have you been in there? Were you in there yesterday? Were you in there last week? Were you in there 10 years ago? Of course you were. You're in there. What you looked at was different. What you experienced was different. But the consciousness, the awareness of being is not different. It's just aware of different things. Just like you can be aware of a picture. You can be aware of a painting. You can be aware of a person. But it's still you that's aware of it. There's just one of you in there. Period. And that is your consciousness. Which is not enlightenment. We're not there yet. Maybe we'll touch it in the end. It is a seat of what's called witness consciousness. Objective observation. It means I'm in here. I'm not thinking I'm in here. Why? Because that's a thought. Are you aware that you have thoughts about yourself and what you want? Yeah. Are they you? No, they are thoughts about me. It's always subject-object. It's always the consciousness is aware of what it's aware of. Maybe it's aware of nice things. Maybe it's aware of not nice things. Patanjali said it beautifully in the Yoga Sutras, very deep writing. He said, when you're awake, You're aware of what comes in through your senses. When you're asleep, the exact same consciousness is aware of your dreams. Do you have dreams? How do you know? Because you're aware. Don't think about it. Don't analyze them. You can if you want to. But the result is you are aware. Patanjali challenges this as what happens in deep, dreamless sleep. Are you not conscious? Or are you conscious of nothing? And that's when you start to understand the deep teachings. That's why you wake up and you say, I slept so deep. I didn't have any dreams. It was so peaceful. How do you know? How do you know that there were no dreams? You must have been there. And that's what he's talking about. So in dreamless sleep, it just means there are no objects of consciousness. You're just there, calm, aware. Nothing's disturbing. That's why sleep can be so deep. Not REM sleep, deep sleep. Because it completely is peace, okay? But that's not enlightenment. That's true. I don't want to go off topic. But Yogananda used to talk about consciousness, subconsciousness, semi-superconsciousness, and superconsciousness. They're just about what you're aware of. You are awareness. You are the highest thing that ever existed. You are the reason for creation. What is the purpose of creating if you don't experience it? It literally has no purpose. You're not conscious of it. If nothing is conscious of anything, there's no creation. Consciousness is the beginning and end of all meaning of existence. Because when you're conscious of it, it may not be nice, but it has meaning. You're aware of it. So you come back to what's called pure consciousness. That's who you are. In a state of witness consciousness, that just means I am aware that I am aware. You're not enlightened. You're still there. You're still aware that you're aware of what? Of these thoughts. I'm not in the thoughts. I'm not lost in the thoughts. I can see that there are thoughts. It's not that there are not thoughts. I see there are emotions, but I'm not being drawn down into them. That's witness consciousness. You're witnessing. Your consciousness is in a state of witnessing what you're aware of, but still it's what you are aware of. It's not pure awareness itself. We'll get there maybe at the end. I like to put the cherry on top at the end, right? But what's the purpose? If you can't enter witness consciousness and you're being drawn down into your thoughts, and you are, you're being drawn down into your thoughts, you're being drawn down into your emotions, you're being drawn down into what's distracting you in the world in front of you, then you're pulled down. That's the fall from the garden. You're pulled down. Your consciousness is pulled down into the objects of consciousness, okay? Now what we're dealing with is a spiritual path. A spiritual path in the beginning, in the end, its entirety is of liberating yourself from that draw down into the object of consciousness, so you end up in this amazingly beautiful state of awareness of being. That's where you are. First, I want to say, is awareness of being neutral? No, it's not. It's described as ecstasy. It's described as nirvana. It's described as Satchitananda. That's just ecstasy, eternal conscious ecstasy. That's what the great ones realized when they let go completely of what? Of the world? No, of themselves. They let go of being, here, I don't want to call it that. They can let go of being the force that's pulling them down into their thoughts, into their emotions. Is there anything wrong with thoughts and emotions? No, there's nothing wrong with the rocks, there's nothing wrong with the person, there's nothing wrong with anything. But if you're being pulled down into it, then it becomes who you are. You start identifying with it. This is my husband. This is my wife. This is my child. And they're doing drugs. And what should I do? Oh my God. Or it's like you're just drawn down into the drama of what's in front of you. Who is? Your true being, your true self. I point back here because you're back here. Someday you'll understand you're not out here. You look out here. Why? Because you're not out here. I can look at a picture. It's way over there. But I'm still the one who's looking. So eventually you realize spirituality is about liberating yourself. Period. That's what it's about. Don't make it about anything else. That's what it's about. Now the path for doing that is very interesting. It's a long and windy road. And we can talk about that. But don't ever doubt that what liberation means is freedom from being pulled down into these lower aspects of your being until you're just in so much ecstasy that you can't get pulled down anymore. That's what happens. Want to hear about it? Okay, that's what happens. There's this constant upward flow of Shakti, of spirit, call it whatever you want. It's always flowing up. It's never flowing down. And as it flows up, it pulls you up into it. There can be a tendency, somebody says something you don't like, you're afraid of this, a tendency to be pulled down into the lower vibrations. But the rush upward is so strong that it can't do it. It just keeps pulling you up. That's a very nice ascending force. That is the ascending force. You can't go by yourself. Why? Because you're identified with what you're looking at. You're identified with yourself as a person. You're not a person. You're not an ego. You're not your emotions. You have them. You can learn to deal with them. Okay? But in the end, the upward rush, the upward pull is way stronger than the downward pull. And so it keeps elevating you up. It keeps pulling you up. Eventually, you'll catch on. You don't walk this path. It pulls you up into it, the real spiritual path. It's not something you do. It's not hours and hours of meditation and this and commitment. You have to do all that. Otherwise, the forces are pulling you down. But eventually, you get to the point you understand you're not doing anything. And literally, that's what you're doing, not doing anything. So if there's a force that's pulling you down, are you capable of letting it go? It's always about letting go. It's not about doing anything, about getting anything, about being anything. You're not, oh, I'm a teacher, or I'm this, or I'm a husband, I'm a what. You're just there. You're there. Can you just be there? Or are these forces of your concepts and views and opinions and hopes and dreams and values, all this mental stuff that you've become attached to, does it pull you down into it? So while it's doing that, you're on a spiritual path of learning to let go of that, of learning to not have it pull you down. Is that the same as renunciation? I don't like the word renunciation. It's so misunderstood. Renunciation basically says, I have a pull down, but I'm not going to do it. Okay, hope you're having fun because you're not going to. It ends up blowing up and screwing everything up. Suppression doesn't work. But I don't understand. If I have these drives and I have these impulses and I don't suppress them, they're going to happen. No, that's not true. The truth is, if you're very committed, but it means very committed, and I've met very committed people. In fact, I'm shocked the questions and the writings that we get from people about how some of them are so committed. They caught on, they're so committed. It's unbelievable. Committed to not having a bad thought? No. Committed to not doing it? No. Committed to understanding that if the forces are pulling you down, there is a way to relax through them, to not get pulled down into them or renounce them. You're not suppressing them, you're not saying no, you're not doing anything. You're just constantly letting go of the pull downward. And I hope you understand the pull downward. Anybody understand the pull downward? Has anybody noticed there's a pull downward? Everybody knows it's kind of hard to live in there and not get pulled down. It's as simple as that. Okay? It's like I used to talk about, you go to talk to somebody who you're not getting along with so well, let's say, but you're committed. You're not going to talk about that subject. We're going to have a nice conversation, right? I used to, 10 seconds, I'm pulled into it. Back in the 70s, I just noticed that, holy mackerel, you literally have to bring this. You said you weren't going to talk about that, right? And you do, don't you? All right? There's this tremendous pull downward. All right, so first of all, let's find out why. Is it meant to be that way? It is not meant to be that way. Does it have to be that way? It does not have to be that way. Why is it that way? What happens is your consciousness, which is God, it's God, it's just pure consciousness, gets distracted. It gets distracted by certain things. What things? I don't know, a rattlesnake. I don't know, somebody yelling at you. Do you get distracted? Do you find that your consciousness hangs out with being yelled at? Do you find that if you have a conversation with somebody, even a friend, that you kind of mind, say, oh, I should have said that, I don't know, oh my God, I hope I didn't insult him. Anybody at all have anything like that going on in there? Anybody not? Why? Why? Because you that got pulled down, the conscience that got pulled down, gets lost. It starts identifying with what it's looking at instead of identifying with the one who's looking. That's the essence of spirituality. It identifies with what's looking at instead of identifying with the one who's looking. Why? Those questions are so deep. Go ask the master. Okay? You just asked me the question, what's the original sin? Why did they fall from the garden? That is what you're talking about. It's like They're just in God, and they're experiencing creation, and God loves creation and experiencing creation. And there it is. It's all beautiful. It's just beautiful. There's oneness, a oneness. But at some point, something happens in the lower vibrations that you are not, the right word is evolved enough, but that's a whole nother discussion. Your consciousness, your soul, what is the soul? God individualized. All right, I'll give you the example. Take a magnifying glass out to the field when the sun is shining. Do you notice the sun's everywhere, isn't it? It's shining absolutely equal everywhere until it shines through the magnifying glass. What happens? It becomes a point that is so focused that it can start a fire. That's you. That is your relationship with God. You are the light, the sun, shining through this focus. Instead of being whole and complete and one, you have focused the consciousness down to a point, and it starts fire, doesn't it? It is a perfect example, if you understand the relationship between the word soul and God. Soul is concentrated God down to a single focus. So I am. I think this way and I think that way. Okay? So basically, you're a great being, but you got lost. You focused on yourself instead of focusing on the whole. And if you focus on the whole, you're God. You feel you oneness. There you are. You're enlightened. But if you focus your tremendous consciousness down to a point, and that point is ego. That point that you focus on is what you like, what you want, what you don't want, what you believe in, what you hope, what you dream, what you think is right, what you think is wrong. It's basically, here I am, come and get it. That is what a human is. God focused on this tiny little thing called your mind, your emotions, what you believe in, and so on and so forth. And it's God focused on you. Is it God? Yeah, but I don't think the behavior is going to be that way. So now you have focused on you. Have you focused on you? Do you ever think about yourself? What you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, what you believe in, what you don't believe in, what you think is right, what you think is wrong. Well, come on, you guys serious about the right and wrong stuff, aren't you? It's just God. Everything is not even here. We've discussed this over and over again. Go study quantum physics. Well, we'll tell you, it's not here. There is no such thing. There are no atoms. There are vibrations, agitations in a field that when those agitations make wavelets, they make electron, neutron, and protons and people and things, right? It's not here. Take a breath. I love that your physicists tell you it's not here. It is not the way you see it, period. It's just an illusion that you're seeing. Einstein said it. He said the whole world is just an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. Every one of those wavelets that make up the quantum field interact together to make up these forces, which end up making electron, neutron, protons, etc. And they do it the same. So you wake up in the morning, your room is still there. That's ridiculous. But you don't think twice. All you care about, oh, I forgot this. I don't know. So you're tremendously caught in yourself. And that's the antithesis of the spiritual path. The spiritual path is, how do I not be caught in myself? Well, if you're not caught in yourself, you're with God. Mayor Baba said, man minus mind equals God. That doesn't mean you have no mind. You come back and interact just fine like anybody else, but you don't have to. You're able to just span the entire difference. All right? Okay. Why do you get pulled down? As far as I'm going to go is say you get distracted. What does distracted mean? That you focus on something. Isn't that what distracted me? I got distracted. I was focusing on this. Now I'm focusing on that. Isn't that what it means to get distracted? What got distracted? Your consciousness. Your awareness of being got distracted. And that's what happens. The original distraction of where you're with God, you're merged with the whole universe, you're in ecstasy, and you're just God. That's what it is. Just one. That original distraction whereby all of a sudden you're not in that oneness, you're focused on your body, your thoughts, your emotions, you were everything. Now you're this tiny little thing hanging out there thinking you're something that you're not. What do they call the ego in psychology? Your self-concept. Not the self. It's the concept of yourself. It's what you made up about yourself and then said, that's who I am. It is not who you are. I mean, the examples I'm using lately, I love them. You get in a relationship and you're madly in love with somebody. You need them a real lot. It's mostly need, not love. You need them tremendously and so on. And they say to you, no, we're done. And what comes out of your mouth is so embarrassing. No, tell me how you want me to be. I can change. I swear I can change. I can be anyone you want me to be. Just tell me, please tell me. What are you saying? I made myself up. I made myself up. I can make up a different one if it works better for you. Yes or no? Ever done it? Yeah. Okay. You're saying I'm the self, but I'm so lost in the emotions and the needs and the fears and all this junk that I'm just going to make up a different ego. And you can do it. I've met people that do it. They can change overnight. I've met people that change overnight. They have some kind of thought, or they get attracted to somebody or repulsed by somebody, and they are a different person. Ever seen it? What's it telling you? That's not who you are. You're the consciousness that gets sucked down into focusing on the set of thoughts, set of emotions. You have things you believe in, don't you? Things you don't believe in, don't you? Things you like, don't you? Things you don't like, that's what I'm talking about. Don't sit there and say you're right. How can you be right? Everybody's different. Now you get down to, how did you decide what you like? Who wants to have a serious discussion about spirituality? Do you have things you like? Do you have things you don't like? How'd you decide? You did not decide. You had experiences that left impressions on your mind. You watched a movie, you watched this, you read a book, somebody talked to you, you didn't like what they said, you like what they said. It made impressions on your mind and you held on to them. And then you built this whole concept of yourself in your mind based on those experiences you had. And if you doubt that, please learn to meditate, because you're going to watch it happen. You'll watch it happen all day. You watch yourself be fine, and somebody walks up to you and doesn't say hello, or says hello in a way that doesn't sound right. And then all of a sudden, you got all these concepts and views and opinions about that person, about who should say what and what's wrong and what you, yes or no. Okay? So they're in there having these impressions put upon you. And eventually you get to the point where you realize that if you wake up, that's stupid. How can I live my life that way? Do you have trouble making decisions? Of course you have trouble making decisions. Why? What are you trying to decide? What will make me feel better? That's not the question. The question is, why don't you feel good? Not what will make you feel better. That's already starting with the position, I'm not okay. I'm already screwed up. I got all these problems. So what will make me do better? And you think this way, no, maybe. Of course you're indecisive. The whole principle of what's going on is absurd, which is, I'm not okay. How'd you be not okay? Things happened to me that I didn't like. When? My whole life. Well, what'd you do with them? I stored them inside. It's called suppression, repression. I stored them inside of me. Why? So I can remember how bad they are. Do they come back up? Pay attention to what's happening. You hear me? And so you end up building this ego inside your mind, and then the consciousness gets sucked into it. I mean, most people, it doesn't get out in their entire lifetime. They have no idea what's going on. They just know I'm not okay, and what I need to do to be okay, everything I can do, and what do I want, what do I not want, and who are my friends, and you just build this whole mess, and then you live that. And are you okay? Of course not. You're trying to be okay. Have you noticed you're trying to be okay? You're trying to have things you like happen, trying to have things you don't like not happen. But it's very simple, but you can't figure it out, and they don't always end up the right way anyways. Eventually, let's just get there. You wake up and you realize, I did this. I stored this stuff inside of me. I built this ego. I built these concepts and views and opinions and preferences and hopes and dreams and fears. I did this. Otherwise, what happened is the world unfolded in front of me and it went right through. Ready for the next moment? Ready for the next moment? Here it is. It's going to happen. Here's the next moment. No, I'm not ready for the next moment. I'm too busy with the ones that happened that didn't know the way I want. Okay? And then that's what be here now means. You're not doing that. You're actually here now. Good luck. You know what you are? There then. All your mind and concepts and all that stuff's the past. It's gone. So spirituality is about what I'm talking to you about. It's not about what you wear and what you eat and what you believe or this or that. It's about, have you caught on yet that your consciousness is absorbed and distracted by you at a level that's incomprehensible, by this you built in there? Okay? And you just keep doing it. There's my husband. There's my wife. These are my children. Well, they were my children, but I renounced them. I don't know what you're going to do. We're weird, okay? And you're just basically saying, I'm just going to build this thing in here and then try to make it work. It's never worked. It can't work because it's not who you are. You're the consciousness itself looking at that garbage. And so eventually you catch on, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't know how not to, but I don't want to do that anymore. That's the spiritual path. When you wake up and you realize this is not going to work. There's no way that every person I meet is going to treat me the way I want to be treated. Because you meet new people all the time and you're afraid. You're afraid, am I wearing the right thing? Did I say the right thing? What should I do? And then blah, 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 blah. And then you're just living inside this mess. You do not have to live inside that mess. Period. Ever. Period. Now, getting out's another story, but you do not have to live inside that mess. You are not a mess. You're the highest being that walks the face of the earth. You're filled with ecstasy, filled with joy, filled with light. It spreads all over the place. That's who you are. Well, why am I not that way? I told you why. Because you built this castle inside yourself called me, I, me, mine, and you're clinging and holding and resisting and fighting to try and make the outside world match so you can be okay. Eventually, you wake up and you sit there and say, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be neurotic anymore. I don't want to worry anymore. I don't want to be afraid anymore. I don't want to be desirous anymore that I might not get what I want. In other words, we have a name for it in India, Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul. You in there are not doing that anymore. Does that mean you don't get married? It has nothing to do with it. Does that mean you don't have children? It has nothing to do with it. Does that mean you don't make money? It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with you in there, not what's going on out here. And just to let the cat out of the bag, when Lao Tzu wrote the Tao, he tried to explain to you that you can live in this world and not be a mess. How? By just honoring and respecting that you're in here, you're experiencing the unfolding of reality, and you're at peace with it. It's not about doing or not doing, it's about being. You're in there. Yes, you get married. Yes, you have children. Yes, you make money. Yes, you don't. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with anything. The planet has been here for 4.5 billion years. How long are we going to be here? 80, 90, 100 out of 4.5 billion? And you're making a big deal out of your little chuck of 80, 90 years? You make a complete neurotic mess of yourself. You drop down on a planet, things are unfolding, things are happening. You deal with them out of clarity, out of love, out of compassion, never out of what I want, what I don't want. Who cares? You're not going to be for any length of time. Why are you putting all this weight on yourself and on this stuff? You just wake up and say, okay, I'm in here. The world's unfolding. And what the Tao is teaching you is that, I'm going to give you the teaching, the yin and yang. There are opposing forces. There's light and dark, and there's happiness and sadness, and there's good and there's bad. It's just always opposing forces. That's how everything works in this universe. How do the planets stay in orbit? It just sits out there and floats. There's no strings attached in any way, shape, or form. Oh, centrifugal force and gravity. Opposing forces. Everything's that. And that's what Lao Tzu tried to teach you. It's all in harmony, but you're not. Why? Because you have a way you want it to be. You have a way you think it's supposed to be. Don't you? Right? Instead of, it is the way. What does the Tao mean? The way. What way? The way it is. Reality. There's birth and death. There's good and bad. There's right and wrong. There's dark and light. Yes or no? I don't want there to be dark. Okay, you're going to screw everything up completely and screw everybody else up too. That's what happens when you come out of harmony with the Tao, with reality. So what are you talking about? The spiritual path. What is the spiritual path? Let go of yourself. How do you let go of yourself? Okay, let's talk about it. How do you let go of yourself? You step outside in the morning and you notice there's something going on. What? Who cares? Something's going on. Everywhere there's something going on. Every moment of your life, there's something going on. And what you're going to see is you have preferences of what's going on and what's not going on. And the preferences aren't even about now. They include everything that ever happened to you for a whole life. They didn't want that to happen. That shouldn't have happened. I can't believe that happened. When you were 5, 50 years ago. That's not going to work out. All right? You can't bring all that stuff. It's never going to change. It's never going to change. It is what happened. It happened. And you start to realize, I have made a complete mess out of every moment of my life. How? By not letting go. How do you know? In a scientific experiment, you take out a variable and you watch what happens. Okay? What if I take out your preferences? I'm going to take out your preferences. What I want and what I don't want. What I like and what I don't like. What's going to happen? Peace. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. That's the beginning line of one of the deepest Zen teachings that was ever written. Well, is that true? Buddha taught that. Take out desire, take out preferences, and what's left is peace. But we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to do that. We worship our preferences. We think that the most important thing, what I like and what I don't like, is the meaning of my life. Good luck. It is not the meaning of your life. The meaning of your life is you in there. But I've been pulled down into this ego, into hopes and dreams and concepts and views and opinions and preferences and hopes, everything. And so it's very, very confusing. And so I struggle to be okay. I don't want you to struggle. You don't need to struggle. That's absurd. You just wake up and you say, I'm going to be here for a few years. I can handle it. Handle what? Reality. That is a very powerful word, reality. What do you mean? That which is the Tao. That's what the Tao means. In the latest book, Living Untethered, I had to define reality. Well, you could write a book on reality, right? Oh, no. It was one sentence. That which already happened. You ain't going to change it. It ain't ever going to not have happened. It's reality. Can you handle it? Of course I can't handle it. I didn't like it. I don't want it that way. I want it to happen again. You can't handle reality. Well, the spiritual path is about learning to handle reality. That's how simple it is. But it's raining out. I don't want it to be raining out. What am I going to tell you? You just admit it's raining out. That's what it's doing. So you have a choice. Be okay, honor it, respect it, enjoy it, appreciate it, worship it, or resist it, hate it, get ulcers and neurosis. I'm going to Arizona where it doesn't rain as much. Let it run your life. That's your choice, isn't it? The only choice you have in life is accept or resist. And when you resist, which is what we do, you get ulcers and tension and anxiety. That's what causes all that. The world does not cause anxiety. Your resistance to it causes anxiety and causes tension. Tension is two opposing forces. You can't have tension with one force. They're opposing forces. Well, what are the opposing forces? Me and reality. Well, why are they opposing? Because I said they're going to be. What if something happened, you changed your mind? Then they're not opposing. How long did it take? How long did it take before they're not opposing anymore? 1/1000 of a second, just change your mind. I decided to like this. I hope you're laughing, because eventually you wake up, and that's the spiritual path. You wake up and you realize, I don't want to live like this. I don't have to fight for everything to be the way I want it to be. I don't have to be afraid of everything, but fear is terrible. You have fear. I'm not talking about physical fear, I'm talking about psychological fear. Where'd you get that from? I made it up. That which scares you doesn't scare her at all. That which scared you yesterday, you're excited about today. You're just making this junk up in your mind, and then it's ruining your life. And so eventually you wake up enough to sit there and say, okay, I get it. I don't want to live like that. Do you have to live like that? Of course not. Why would you have to live like that? Why do you have to make stuff up and make yourself neurotic? You have to do that. But what you're going to find out is it's not so easy. Now we get down to the path. Now you understand what spirituality is. The ego's gone. You're not buying in to what it wants and what it doesn't want and what it believes, what it doesn't believe, what it hopes and what it dreams. That's just your mind. It's just you made that up. I showed you. I don't even like to talk like this. It can change in a minute. Somebody starts to walk up to you. You don't feel comfortable. I don't like their vibration, right? And then they sit there and say, I'm sorry. Since kindergarten, to me, you walk on water. I've been embarrassed to walk up to you. I just think you're the most beautiful being that ever walked the face of the earth. I'm honored just to talk to you. How you doing? How you doing? You feel a lot of resistance and don't like the guy anymore? That's pretty fickle stuff, isn't it? That's all it takes. And you just wake up and you realize, I want out. I want out. That is spirituality. I want out. I don't know how to get out, but I want out. What are you going to do with your life? Get out? I don't understand. Your parents are talking to you. You have to do something with your life. I am going to. I'm going to get out. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, His righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. That was Yogananda's favorite quote from the Bible. It doesn't mean be good and you'll attract the money. You'll attract abundance. It means seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. And you just get to realize what it means is empty out, clean out, empty that garbage inside of you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. And eventually you catch on and you start doing that. And you do notice that, yes, things are very different because you've come in harmony with life. All right, so how do you get out? Can you get out? Yes. Can everybody get out? Yes. But what if I'm deeply depressed? You're not. You're staring at a psyche that's depressed. The self is not depressed. The self cannot be depressed. The self is in a state of ecstasy, but it chose to stare at the darkness of your psyche. And it got so lost in it that it can't get out. Do you see the difference? Do you understand that? Wow. We're having a serious talk. So how do you get out? You make it the meaning of your life. Okay? Period. Underneath, you don't see it. No one else sees it. Underneath it all, every breath, everything you do, every decision you make, everything, you're in there. You're in there. I'm getting out. It may take some time, but I'm getting out. I ain't gonna live this way. I don't care if for 1 minute at the end of my life, I get out. That's enough. I am not going to commit myself to this absurdity of fighting and struggling, needing and wanting. And oh my God, I'm being afraid. Come on, guys. You do not have to live in fear. I used to do this because I'm not psychic, but I like to make believe I am. I know what you're afraid of. I've never met you, but I know what you're afraid of. Ready? You're afraid that something will happen that you don't want. Did I get it? You're afraid that something won't happen that you do want. That's it. What else is there to be afraid of? That reality will happen? No. You have decided to be afraid. You made something up, never afraid it won't happen. You made something up, and you hope it will happen, but then you're scared that it won't, and then when it does, you're afraid it'll go away. Come on. It just builds constant fear and tension and anxiety. All right, how do you get out? You decide, I want out. There's no other purpose in my life. There's no other purpose in my life. But you said I could get married. Marriage happens. The deer have babies. No, they don't get permission. You should see them. They're cute as adorable. They do it all the time. There's some natural unfolding of life. Has nothing to do with right or wrong or good or bad. But what if I don't get married? Then you don't get married. No, there you go. Well, what if I get married and I don't like the person I got married to? I've heard about that. What are you doing? Has nothing to do with what you like or don't like and what you want and what you don't want. There's only one thing you want: out. There used to be a song in the 60s. I don't sing very well. We gotta get out of this place if it's the last thing we ever do. Yeah, there's your song, all right? I'm getting out. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what it is. It's not going to be all at once, but I'm getting out. I am going to experience the nature of my being in truth. How do you do it? Every journey starts with the first step. You look at it and you say, do I cause myself problems? Do I cause myself problems? Well, I don't know what you mean. The driver in front of you. Has a driver in front of you ever bothered you the way they drive? Okay. Did it help? Do you talk to them? Did it do any good? I'm a businessman. We have a thing called cost-benefit analysis. A business person takes the factors, puts them down, draws the charts, and there's a cost-benefit analysis. Here's your cost-benefit analysis of getting upset about the driver in front of you. 100% cost, 0 benefit. That doesn't sound very intelligent. Don't tell me spirituality is faith, there's no intelligence. No, be intelligent. I want you to be intelligent. The weather. Have you ever Now you look at me. Have you ever complained about the weather? Have you ever in your life complained about the weather? What good did it do? You are causing yourself suffering. So your starting position of liberating yourself is stop it. Then I call it the low-hanging fruit, the simplest, stupid thing. I'm causing myself to suffer. Why? Maybe I shouldn't do that. Well, work at it. How? Practice. I said, so funny. You practice a sport. You practice an instrument. You practice all kinds of things. You practice. If you practice, you get better. Practice not bothering yourself. Things will happen that bother you. Those are big things. We can leave those alone. Don't worry. You have plenty of time for those. I would just start with, and you're conscious, work with yourself that you find a way to stop bothering yourself about the things that make no difference. What your mother said to you 43 years ago is completely irrelevant. She's dead. And you probably misunderstood anyways, and it doesn't make any difference. What difference does it make? I jumped. The simple ones are the weather and the car, right? And then I jumped right away to me, the most important. How can you be bothered by your past? Are you bothered by your past? How can you be bothered by your past? It's over. It's done. It happened. What are you doing? Let's figure out what bothered us and bring it back again. Why? Why would you do that? It's done. It's over. He had a divorce 3 years ago. It was tough. Yes, it was tough. Are you still getting divorced? The point is, why are you bothering yourself about something that's not happening? It doesn't make sense. Does it make sense? Does it make sense to store what bothered you and then keep bringing it back up so it can bother you some more? But I'm justified. You should see what happened to me. No, I don't even want to hear about it. I'm sorry. You don't care about me. Yes, I do care about you. That's how I care about you. I wish you would not care what happened to you in the past so you can live in the present and have a good old time. The past does not matter. Of what benefit is it? But you don't understand what happened to me. I understand, but it's not happening anymore. It's past tense. Let it go. And you start practicing. You start with the small stuff, get driver in front of you, and then use his blinker. And you still realize, my God, I am really bothering myself about meaningless stuff. Well, how can you be okay if you're bothering yourself about meaningless stuff all the time? You can't. You see how simple it is? This is spirituality. Doesn't sound like it. Oh, yeah, it does. You want to be liberated? You want to be free? You want to feel joy all the time? You want the Shakti to flow up instead of down? Stop pulling it down. Stop deciding it's worth it for me to get upset he didn't use his blinker. My God, if people don't use their blinkers, how do they know where they're going to go? You're supposed to announce where you're going to go, for God's sake. Somebody couldn't run in. What are you doing? That was 7 blocks away. And you're still doing it. Please, please, I beg you to listen to me. All right? You can free yourself from this mess. And what happens, you start with the small stuff. And then you realize, okay, I can do this. In the new book, Living Untethered, I give you techniques. Make it fun. Life can be fun. But none of it's not what I want. Make it be fun. Sit there and say, I really didn't want that, did I? Look how it happened exactly the way I didn't want it to. It was perfect. It was perfect against what I wanted. And look how much it upset me. Oh, this is so neat. You're welcome to do it. Nothing's stopping you. And I guarantee you'll be happier. You don't need things to change for you to stop bothering yourself. And what's going to happen, the little things will happen, and you'll start having fun with them. Please have fun. Your ego's a toy. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it, and don't let it run your life. It's something you built in there that's on autopilot. It remembers everything you didn't like. It's afraid of anything that might happen, right? Look at the damn thing. It's AI and steroids. We don't need that, right? That's what they'll end up building AI. I want to build an AI that's just like me. No, you don't. You really don't. Why would you? Look, it worries just like I do. Look, it worries exactly what I worry about. Look, it's neurotic just like me. I'm so scared. Look, it's talking just like me. Throw the thing away. You don't want it, okay? You just basically wake up and realize I can be fine. How? By being fine. But it rained on my birthday. You literally say it. Why did it have to rain on my birthday? Ready? Newsflash, it doesn't know it's your birthday. It doesn't have any idea. And you're all upset about it. Why did it rain on my birthday? Didn't rain 2 days before. God doesn't like me. What did I do wrong? What are you doing? Hear me? You do not have to be like that, do you? So you start doing this thing called working with yourself, working to free yourself, working to raise yourself. And don't ever forget it. Remember every morning when you wake up, that is the meaning of my life. The meaning of my life is to work with myself. Otherwise, my life's full of it. It's just ridiculous. Any moment it could fall apart. Any moment could look promising and then change. Yes or no? I don't want you to live like that. I care about you. And the worst part is I know you don't have to live like that. That's what if you look up compassion in Webster's dictionary, forget it. All right? Compassion is what I just said to you. You manage to a degree to get out and you see people suffering for no reason. That's compassion. You don't yell at them. It's the understanding. But you're suffering for no reason. And you don't have to. Now you bring compassion and understanding into the situation. All right? Anyways, so basically you start by working with yourself. But what about the big things? Don't worry about them. Don't worry about it. If you can't deal with it, you can't deal with it. You fall down, you fall down. Fine, that's what happened. Get up as soon as you can. That's all. Brush yourself off. Do the best you can. Just do the best you can. There are going to be things that happen that are bigger than the driver in front of you. And try to do your best to deal with them. But at least deal with the smaller ones. And then what you'll find is just if you play tennis and you practice, you're going to get better. Will you be a professional tennis player? No, probably not. But will you get better if you practice? Does practice make you do better? How about an instrument? If you practice, will you do better? This is just like that. Practice being better. Practice not getting upset. Practice doing better. Practice not being bothered by stupid little things. Catch yourself, let go, and you're going to get better at it. Well, what does that mean? It means that something bigger is going to happen, and I swear to you, I promise you won't get bothered by it because you learn to not be bothered. And then all of a sudden, something happens. Somebody doesn't say hello to you. They were your friend, and you called out to them, and they didn't say hello to you. I know it's a melodrama, but it's a major problem, right? But someday you'll look at it, and I swear, without doing anything, you just say, "She probably didn't hear me." Understand that? You just let it go. What's the difference? If she really didn't like you again, it'll come back up. Don't worry, right? And guess what? You won't care. Well, how do you not care what people think about you? Oh, I don't have enough time to talk about that. There's 8.3 billion people on the planet Earth. One person didn't say hello, and you're getting upset, and you just made up in your mind why it happened, don't you? Probably because of this. Did George tell her so? Oh, we didn't tell her that. What will I do? Should I call? What are you doing? Being neurotic if somebody didn't say hello? You just eventually get to the point, but that's not what your life's about. Your life's about not getting neurotic because somebody didn't say hello. And you'll let it go. And you'll think next time you see her that she'll say something, and then no one will say anything. And you'll realize it was nothing. It was me. 95, really 99, I'll be nice. 95% of every single thing you bothered yourself throughout your life did not happen. It didn't unfold the way you were afraid it would. What are you doing? Stop it. And the only way you stop it is you say, the meaning of my life is liberating myself from the absurdity I've gotten caught in. And that's how you see God. And eventually what will happen as you let go, and you start realizing, I can do this. I can handle these things, even big things. Fine, they happen. We'll have fun with them, the best of my ability. And eventually you get high enough, liberated enough, to the energy starts flowing up. I guarantee you. Literally, you feel it flowing up, and it will not stop until you decide it's going to stop. No, this is important. This is important. You don't understand. I wanted to do this, and I didn't get to. Okay, go on. Goodbye. But I didn't want that to happen. Goodbye. And eventually you realize, no more, I ain't doing it anymore. And what happens, that's the seek ye first thing, is somehow you come in harmony with life. And as it comes in harmony, it doesn't mean everything goes the way you want it to. You don't have a way you want it to. You just peacefully and openly deal with the situations. They unfold, and it gets higher and higher, and all these things happen that are beyond your comprehension. To me, and I don't want to talk about it, right? Things have happened in my life that to me are just as absurd as the Red Sea splitting. Period. I'm not kidding. I'm an intelligent person, right? They're just like, are you kidding? How did that happen? And just realize that anything can happen. You just come in harmony with life. And life, I don't know where I read that once. I said, somebody wrote that when you come in harmony with life, you realize that it's playing a tune. And it's not out of tune. It's a symphony. And you start hearing that symphony. You start surrendering to it. Anyways, it's hard for me to stop because I care about you so much. But do you see, you are causing your own problems, then blaming everybody else, including blaming yourself. I'm no good. I always fail. I've never done anything right. How dare you talk about yourself that way? And then go out there and expect people to prove that you're wrong. You just stop it. Just realize I'm here on this little tiny planet in the middle of nowhere for a few years, and there's only one thing I'm going to do from this moment forward. I am going to free myself, period, every moment of my life. If I want something really bad, I'm letting it go. If I don't want something really bad, I'm letting it go. I'm just constantly letting go of this absurd personal noise. Who's willing to do it? Who's willing? Yogananda, he's so beautiful. He used to get on the stage and he'd get people all riled up because he gave all these talks, powerful talks, right? And he'd say, God, it's the most beautiful things waiting behind you. All you have to do is work with it and work with yourself and this and that. And he'd stand up there and he'd say, all right, facing this audience of thousands of people in Carnegie Hall and so on. And he says, who will go? Who will go? Who will come with me? Who will go? He'd look around, he said, none to go? Then I will go. None to go, I will go. And he'd turn around and walk off stage. You come with me, would you? All right? Come on, man. Free yourself. Jagrata.
You've been listening to the Michael Singer Podcast, produced by Sounds True in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information on Michael's body of work and all back episodes, please join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening. Sounds True, waking up the world.